Awesome, awesome, perfect, perfect. Have to make sure that technology works. We've got a great crowd that showed up this morning, so I'm super excited about that. So pretty cool. My Doxy Pebbles wants to know if she can come to class too. Yeah, Deborah, she is welcome to attend. And here's the way that we're going to run it, guys. I will, cover material and stop along the way and ask questions. I'll move the chat box out of the way during the presentation simply because I want to make sure that we don't get lost in that and talking to each other or get off on a tangent. With Autoresponder Accelerant, I'm covering my #1 autoresponder sequence, and that's it. I'm not going to give you a bunch of convoluted ideas, concepts, technologies. We're going to keep it super tight, and I believe it's going to be incredibly helpful to you and to your business. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move the chat over, and we will get rolling. All right, so the chat should be out of the way. I really believe in autoresponders. I've not always used them effectively, and often I've overcomplicated them. I've tried to write series that were too big, they were too long, they were too complicated, they were too convoluted. I tried to create stories that wowed everybody. I tried to make sure that I had plenty of psychological triggers, and I really wore myself out, and I was not getting the response that I really wanted. And so what I thought back through, and this was a couple of years ago, is what's really worked the most in my business? When did I get the most response from people? And when did the relationship really take root and change and make a difference in people's lives, keep people long term, go beyond just trying to make the sale, but really finding that commitment? Those of you guys who have been with me a while, and if you've not, my name is Paul Evans, in case you're like, who's this guy doing the seminar? And I think about different types of people who are buyers. There's the desperate, and that's the person who wants something right now. We need to serve them, certainly. And then there is also the determined. Those are the people who say, I'm going to really do it this time. And then there's the dedicated. Those are the people who are going to be with you forever. And certainly we market to all of them, but I love the dedicated. I love the people who say, I'm here long term. This is my business. This is also a big part of my life. And so when I started thinking about that in my different markets, and I said, I'm going to be here really the rest of my life, so how am I going to be able to serve the most effectively to help people to the maximum while at the same time keeping my sanity and also not getting disappointed that I put all of this time and energy and effort in and I'm not receiving the results that I really wanted? And that was a big catalyst for me. I think that we all get in that place where we're thinking, I put in all this time, all this energy, all this effort, and I really just didn't get that response that I wanted. And I really believe that this sequence can help us all with that. So I'm going to show you step by step what I do, detailed how to and what to do. And then as we stop, if you got questions, when I pull the chat bar over, just ask those questions and say, Paul, what technology did you use for this? Or what do you think about X, Y, and Z? Don't be afraid to ask any question whatsoever. However, the questions do need to be related to the topic. So when you come over and you say, hey, Paul, I'm wanting to start a membership site. What's the best plugin? I'm not answering that today. That might be a future webinar, but not answering that today. We're going to stay on Autoresponder and specifically this sequence. So my goal is rapport, connection, and conversion all on autopilot. I don't know how many of you guys got drawn into online business by the whole autopilot phenomenon, that we're going to load things up and never really have to work. In fact, I'm going to bring the chat bar back over, and if you'll look at the top of your screen, you'll see a little guy with his hand up, and that's how you raise your hand. So if you will raise your hand or just type yes in the chat box to say, yeah, I've heard about autopilot, and that was something that really drew me to online business. All right, so I've got some typing, I've got a lot raising their hands that know how to do that. Lucid, all right, lots of hand raising, Cool, cool. All right, I'm going to pull the chat back over. I just wanted to see that response because that was something that really drew me to all of this and made me think, that's right, that's what I really want. I want this autopilot business where I'm really not having to concentrate on the live element all of the time. But what I noticed is that I was not really creating that rapport. I was not really creating that connection, and I was not really getting the conversions that I wanted on autopilot. It seemed like it was taking a long time to develop all this, so I really wanted to shrink it and make it a lot easier and a lot more organic and a lot more natural. So, to me, this is best accomplished through interaction. Yes, even on autopilot, but interaction. That it can't be just me talking all the time, like I'm doing in this training today. It's got to be that other people are doing something. Even those of you who came early and we started chatting, that was some interaction. Some of you who are brand new, and this is the first webinar you've ever been to with me, notice that other people already had a relationship with me, knew what was going on, knew that I was not at a certain event, like Snowden said, hey, we missed you at NAMS. So there's a relationship here, right? And that can happen even on autopilot in our list. We don't have to have everything comment-based. We don't have to have everything live interaction-based in order for people to feel connected and to feel like they are part of something special. So I hope that you're writing that down. Even though you're going to get the screens later, I would highly encourage you to take notes. I'm a huge believer in the connection between the mind and the body. So when we're writing these things down, it's going to lock it into your mind a lot better than if you're just listening and not taking any notes and thinking, hey, I'm going to Facebook over here for a while, but I'm going to be, kind of listening. You're going to miss a lot of stuff that way. So best accomplished through interaction. You've also got to think about the difference between people being consumers and being participants. Too often I hear people talking about, how can I make money? In fact, that's probably my number one question that I get. Paul, how can I make money online? And it shows that people are thinking transactionally and not relationally. And when we think about a consumer, that's a person who simply buys in order to consume, and there's not necessarily a relationship that is in place. But when you think about participants, now there's more on the line. That people are giving feedback, they're interacting, there is conversation. So you may even think about the difference between a consumer and conversation, because there's a massive difference in the way that you write, in the way that you communicate, in the way that you approach people. When we approach people as consumers, when we approach people simply for the sale, if we're not professional copywriters, and most of us on here today are not professional copywriters. I write a lot of copy, but I do not consider myself a professional copywriter. In fact, the greatest compliment I ever received in an introduction in all my years of communication and speaking was at NAMS when David Perdue introduced me and said, before Paul comes and has a conversation with us. That's important to me because I believe in the conversation. I don't believe in 100% straight presentation that does not include the audience whatsoever. So we've got to be thinking about our market, because if we're thinking, I'm going to write something that they want to hear, or I want to be impressive, or I want to make sure that I get that sale, we're going to bring in a different dynamic that's opposite of conversation. Those of us who have been in the sales industry have all seen the body language of a person who recognizes that they are being sold. They get stiff, their eyes become distant, they put up blocks to show you, hey, you're not getting in here. You're not going to sell me something I don't want. On the other hand, we've all been part of times where we're trying to sell somebody something. It could even be going to the movie, where we use conversation very relationally, and there are no barriers, and the eyes light up. And their arms are loose because they're not blocking and they're not saying you're not going to get through. So when we think about participants, we're inviting people on a journey with us, to participate with us, to take the steps with us, not simply to listen to us and do what we say, which is buy something. I believe that this approach, number one, helps those of us who are not great sellers, who don't like the hype, and we don't like selling. In fact, we feel a little awkward about it. And so I set up this autoresponder sequence as well as something that I would be tremendously proud of, that I'd not be scared to send anybody through, and that I would feel like would be very natural when it comes to sales, without being, crazy over the top. So here's the process. Most of us have seen this. It's a standard opt-in and follow-up process. So there's the opt-in page, and I'll show you that in a minute, and I'll show you all the messages. And then they get message 1, and they also get sent to the download page with an offer on the download page. I believe it's super important to have an offer right off the bat. What I've been doing recently is providing a very short video that is often the download offer. What I'm showing you today is an actual PDF, but is a very brief video with an offer right underneath it. And the video is not a sales piece at all. It is their giveaway. It is the thing that they opted in for. And then right under it's a very brief text with a very inexpensive offer. So message 1. Message 2 is a survey. And I'm going to show you exactly how to set this up because I believe it's critical to get this component right. After they take the survey and click submit, they are transferred to a page that shows them the soft results, the preliminary results of the survey, and makes an immediate offer. Message 3 are the more detailed results of the survey with a very specific offer that relates to the number 1 response in the result. Message 4, I'm calling this 1,000 articles, but it's really another one of the responses from the survey. And in this case, I'm grouping several of the responses together and making an offer that covers all of the responses that I could. Now, everybody's not going to be able to do this step the same. So you may not have a lot of different components that you could offer together or a membership site that you could offer yourself, but it would be a great place to offer someone else's membership site. If someone else had all of the answers on your survey, you could say, you know what, I'm at the point right now where I'm not able to offer all of this, but here's who does, and I highly recommend their site. So it makes it super easy. So if I'm using examples from my personal products today, don't think that, hey, this won't work for me, I don't have personal products. Use affiliate products. It's no big deal. You don't have to have a personal product at all for this to work for you. Then messages 5 through 10 are survey-based emails leading to membership in the zone. And this is my youth ministry site that I'm going to be using as an example today. And then messages 11 and following are individual offers for lessons and other resources that are not recurring. So if by message 10 they've not bought my recurring offer, I start sending them individual offers, which are really components just pulled out of my membership and sold individually. So there's the overview of the process, and now we're going to go through it step by step with some principles to help us get started. So Autoresponder Accelerant, this is based on my youth ministry zone. Now let me give you a sidebar real quick because I've had people get offended about this in the past, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. This is a faith-based site. The language you are about to see is faith-based. So it's of the Christian faith. So if that already makes you nervous, then you may want to watch the replay when you calm down. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to do any of that this morning. If you'd like to have a private conversation, on the other hand, that's a different story altogether. But I wanted to give you this example because too often people will say, well, Paul, I know that works in the making money niche, but does it work in other niches as well? If there is a niche that is broke, it is the ministry niche. I've not met anyone who said, I'm wanting to get rich, so I'm going into youth ministry because I know that's where I'm going to make my fortune. I've never met anybody that does that. These folks usually don't have any money, much to speak of. And when I look at our demographics, the average age of the youth ministry that we serve is age 40 and over. They are volunteers and they do not have a church budget. So nobody else is paying for them. They're having to pay for this themselves. They're working full-time jobs and they're just trying to do the best they can. So that's kind of the background here. So I drive a lot of my traffic to an opt-in page, and this is it. This is the opt-in page. 101 super tips for youth ministry, simple strategies you can use too. Free ebook, simple tips you can use today to maximize your youth ministry and reach more teens for Christ. Enter a valid email, click here for instant access, and then very small underneath it says plus get a free Bible lesson series that includes PowerPoint slide, class handouts, teaching outline, and small group discussion guide. Now I'll test back and forth on these. Sometimes I'll just put in that left picture just the lesson series as an image so they can see that, and then I'll say free lesson series, and that gets some good opt-ins as well. The reason I'm not promoting that as heavily is because if people get that, then they want to use it before they decide to buy something else, right? And I found that there's a slowdown in purchase because people think, oh, well, I've already got this other thing, I need to use it first. But in the front of their mind, when they think I'm getting these 101 super tips, even though they get the free lesson, they're not as centered on it. And so that works out extremely well. So that's the opt-in. And even though today's not really about opt-in and squeeze pages, that's the beginning of the process. So message one that they get is based on authority, authenticity, and anchoring. Message one is authority, authenticity, and anchoring. And let me show you how we do that. So first name fix, there you go, familiar token right there in Aweber. Welcome to Teen Life Ministries. Thank you for caring about youth and downloading 101 super tips to maximize your youth ministry. We are so excited about youth ministry even after 58 plus combined years in the trenches. Just like you, we have one goal and one drive: to help as many teens as possible come to know Jesus Christ. How can that goal be reached? Well, the only thing we knew to do was to try to reach as many youth leaders as possible and help them reach the teens in their areas. So that's what we're doing. Teen Life Ministry serves more than 35,000 youth workers just like yourself. So here's the authority. What gives you the right to be in this space? 58 plus combined years, yes, me and Al are old, and 35,000 on the list. Now, I realize that everybody doesn't have that, and that's fine. What's your area of authority? Is it education? Is it experience? Is it background? Okay, for example, in my public speaking niche, I train people to speak effectively, and I make money speaking. However, I'm not a member of the Speakers Association. I've not won any speakers awards. I don't have any certification. I quit Toastmasters because I didn't like it. But I gave my first speech at the age of 12, got paid by the time I was 16, and I've given thousands of presentations, even without a degree or completing a course. So that gives me authority, right? We've got to get away from feeling like, well, I'm a nothing and I'm nobody and I can't do X, Y, and Z. You've got to search for the areas that are going to give you authority in your market, the right to be expressive, the right to be vocal. Age can do that. Education can do that. Experience can do that. Numbers can do that. Some of you on the call today have some great background. I know that Karen has a great background in making jewelry and is launching a Silversmith Academy. So she's got that background in that, and it gives her the authority and the right because she's done it. Snowden has several books out and can really help you energize your life. She's got authority in that. But let's bring it on down. Because we start thinking about, well, you know what, I don't have all that experience. I guarantee you this right now. Let's say that I am 50 pounds overweight. And in the next 30 days, I lose 20 pounds in 30 days. And I put online, hey, I want to share with you how I lost 20 pounds in 30 days with my first diet ever. Are people going to ask me if I'm a nutritionalist? Are people going to care if I've got a degree? They're not. All they care about is that you got the result. So authority can be highly based in your result. I'm not talking about being an expert, and I know there are people that'll tell you, if you read 5 books, you know more than 90%. None of that matters. All that matters is I have this result, and I can help you get a similar result. So we could have done that here as well, and we kind of are doing it in saying that we've got 58 combined years in the trenches. But let's say I was brand new youth minister, and I said, I just got started in youth ministry. I've been at this 6 months, and I've quadrupled our ministry. I want to show you how you can do the same. You think anybody would care that I'd only been in youth ministry 6 months? I don't think so, because they want the result. They want to know, how in the world did you quadruple your youth ministry? I want to know how you did that. So authority is a key element. Secondly is authenticity. Now, these are the things that are important to your subscribers. Just elements about yourself. So Al says, I've been in ministry 37 years. My wife, for the past 38 years, Connie and I have 2 grown children, Lee and Joy, who are married and have children of their own. Okay. My name is Paul Evans. I've been in ministry for 22 years, and I'm 45 years old. My wife, Marla, and I have 2 teenage sons, Sam and Stephen. So that's important to this group, right? That Al has had teenagers, and I've got teenagers. So we're showing that we're real, that we are part of this market. And I think that that's important authenticity-wise, is that we communicate that we're part of the market. It doesn't mean that we've got our own product. It simply means that we're on the same path and we're on the same journey. And in essence, we're holding hands together instead of me being the expert that is casting down all of the principles and directives. And it's not being a know-it-all. It's saying that we're going to do this together. In public speaking, I tell people the number one thing they can do to build instant rapport is to find common ground. And that's what authenticity is. It's common ground. That we're very much the same. I'm very much like you. You are very much like me. We're in this together, and we're going to walk together. You're not going to be alone, and you're not going to be learning from someone who hasn't been where you are. And I think that's an important message, authenticity. And then anchoring. Getting subscribers to remember and recognize your name. I say you do not want to miss an issue, and I've got a little section there that's cut out that basically I said that we're going to send them stuff every week. So make sure you do 2 things, and I've got 3. So I've never even had anybody email me about this. That's pretty strange. So make sure you do 2 things right now. Number 1, whitelist TLM at teenlifeministries.com. If you're not sure what that means, just reply to this email and we will help you. See, that's authenticity, right? And it's also participatory. I've had people email me about that. I don't know what whitelisting means. And I'll say, well, what email client are you using? And they let me know, and I can help them out with that. I guarantee you that's brought some conversions. And no, I don't have a VA that covers that. It's just very simple emails that build a relationship. Number 2, create a folder in your email and label it Teen Life Ministries. You'll want to save every email we send you, including this one. Create a folder. So I'm telling them what to do. They're becoming a participant. They are taking action. If I want to take this to the next level, and I should make a video right there that says, if you don't know how to do this, here's a video. 3, every email we send will be from Paul and Al, and then in brackets, Teen Life Ministries. I want them to recognize our names. I want them to recognize that title so they see it every single time. I'm anchoring that in this first message. So, authority, authenticity, and anchoring. Then I say to get you started, download your free copy of 101 Super Tips by going here. Another way is through the Youth Ministry Zone. Since starting Teen Life back in 1991, we've heard the same things over and over again from youth leaders. You want lessons that are Bible-based, resources to help you grow spiritually, ideas and materials to put in the hands of your teens and their parents. So we're also doing a little bit of authority again, right? 1991. That's kind of way back. And it just shows that we're listening, that there's been participation. So that's what we did. And we talk about the zone here, 400 Bible-based lessons. Regardless of whether or not you need the zone right now, we're thrilled to help you reach teens for Jesus. The reason I put that in there is they're very sensitive about being sold. Very sensitive. So most markets, I wouldn't say whether or not you need the zone right now. But for this market, kind of have to say that. Feel free to email us anytime. Thank you for loving God's sons and daughters. P.S. Tomorrow, look for an email from us with 1-question survey for youth leaders in the subject line. We really want to get your feedback on something that will help your ministry. All right, so that's the first message. That is by far the longest message in the entire series. To me, it's the most important message because people are going to open your first email more than any other email they ever get from you, ever. So your first email is important, and I think it's important to do authority, to do authenticity, and to do anchoring within that first email. Okay, so before we get the message 2, let me bring the chat over. Do you have any questions about anything that we've hit so far? Any questions? A couple typing. Hey Cheryl, this is, it looks like text only, but it is HTML and text. But basically what I do is I'll write it and I'll post it in the text section of Aweber, and then I'll just copy it and I will put it back in the HTML area, and then any live link I make sure is active. Lou, there should be free bacon. Man, I hate you even brought that up. My stomach's growled about 4 or 5 times already. Killing me. I love free bacon. I might have sold some bacon. Val, good. Awesome. Case says, so clear. Finding common ground. Brilliant. Awesome. If you have a series of freebies audios, where does the survey email come in the series? Patty, I would still do that very, 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 very early, because what I don't want to do is stretch them out too much in information gaining and not in activities. Now, if you've got a series of freebies, I would make sure that every single freebie they get, they've got to go online to download it, and there's going to be an offer right under it or something for them to do. I want them to become a participant as much as possible. Gina, I do not do the double opt-in. I do a single opt-in, and I know that sometimes that goes to spam folder, etc., but I do a single opt-in most of the time. No, Selena, that was real close to Gina's question there. Finding common bacon. You know, I could use, and I didn't at all in this, but I do in some of my other series. I didn't use any humor in this first one, but like in some of my other follow-ups, I'll mention Five Guys, I'll mention bacon, some things along those lines. Yeah, that's Malcolm. That is one long email for the very first one, and that's the only email that is long at all. And it doesn't have to be that long, but it certainly helps anchor the whole thing, and they get to see that we're really serious about it, and we're not just giving them a giveaway and that's it. Jen says, great, I'm in the process of sending out first autoresponder. Thank you, Paige. This is extremely helpful. I like the relationship you spoke about. Awesome. No doubt, Deborah. Yes, you can, Pat. You can use the single opt-in in Aweber, and in fact, you'll do that by going to your list settings, and I think that it's under the confirmation area. You should be able to turn it off in there. There is an older version of Aweber that used to not allow you to turn it on and off, and what you'll have to do is contact them and say you want that option. But all of mine I can turn on and off at any time. So it's not a problem at all. All right, got a few more typing. How many links do you put in the autoresponder? The first one, I've got several links in there, Deborah. And then the rest of them, I might use 1 or 2, and that's all. All right, a few more typing. And in some other, my broadcast emails, Deborah, I'll often do 2 or 3 times. Jen, you know, if you're comfortable with Get Response, I still think that their deliverability is pretty high. I'm fine with it. I just stay with what I'm with, and I don't switch very often. The only reason I would switch if I could bring all my names over and not lose any. Hey Gina, those links are to one single place in some of my broadcast emails. In that first email, I've got links to a membership program and I've got links to the download page. Is it repeating the link or are you sending them to several different places? Yeah, Deborah, in the first one, yeah, that's it. I'll send them to a couple of different places. I'm not too worried about that in the first email. I'm not too worried about sending them to different places. So the dilution of their focus, I don't think is as critical in that first email as it is in later emails. Cool. All right, I'm going to pull this back over. That was email number 1. The rest, this section will be a little bit longish, maybe, and after that it'll be a lot shorter. So I was only planning on being here about an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the most. Depends on the questions. All right, so message 2, let me go back. Message 2, 1-question survey. And the subject line actually is 1-question survey for youth ministers. We've got a 1-question survey that will be a huge help in bringing you the best resources for your youth ministries. Please click this link now. Please take 30 seconds to complete it. Thank you. Your partners in youth ministry, Paul and Al. That is it. This will appear totally on their screen. They don't have to scroll, and we get a big click-through with this. We've got a 1-question survey. I don't say 3 questions. I don't say 5 questions. I used to do that, and I found that 1-question survey works better than anything else. Please take 30 seconds to complete it. Does it take more than 30 seconds? If they're slow, probably so. But that's it. So they click that link, and I use 1-minute poll, and it's old school. It's not sexy. It's not cool. Most people use SurveyMonkey, because I think it is sexier and cooler. And I've used Zoomerang in the past. And there's probably free plugins for WordPress you can use. It doesn't matter. Whatever allows them to take the survey and you get the results from it. So I use 1-minute poll. Look at this. This is ugly. This is an ugly survey. It's not like this great looking survey that people are going, oh, wow, these guys are sharp. Nope. All I want to do is get the answer. Which resources would you like most to help you in your ministry? Choose up to 3. And there you've got the list. Bible lessons, PowerPoint, outline, class handout, discussion guide. Discussion guides for small group. Quiet time studies to email directly to your teens. Articles for parents to email directly to them. Training resources for volunteers. Personal spiritual growth tools for you as a youth leader. Devotionals to use in live settings. Games and icebreakers. How to double your youth ministry. How to use social media in your youth ministry. That's it. Choose up to 3. That takes about 30 seconds, to kind of glance through there and choose some. Then they click submit. But here's what's important. I have offers for every response possible, or I can produce it fast. Now, I did not have how to double your youth ministry developed, and I don't have how to use social media in your youth ministry. I don't have those. But I figured I could do those fast, but I didn't think they'd be really big. I have offers for every response. That's important. This is important. See how I put important right there? The goal of the survey is not to learn, but to confirm. Here's another rhyme for you. The goal of the survey is not to learn, but to affirm. My survey is not about gaining any information at all. It's really about confirming the desire and affirming the desire for the market. Already know the market. People say, do I need to survey my list to find out what they want? You should already know what they want. I already know the responses. It's what makes my survey good, is that I know exactly what's going to happen in the survey. It's not to gain information. You can gain some information in another time if you want to. But honestly, I've done surveys where I'm trying to figure out what people will buy, and they don't buy it. They don't. But if I know already what people will buy and I put it in front of them and let them vote on it, they affirm that they want that. They raise their hand. Yep, that's what I want. Well, I already know it. I just want them to say so without feeling like they're being sold. What happens when they raise their hand and they say, that's what I want? They're affirming that. They're confirming that that desire is there. I already know the responses. The top 3 to 10 problems in a market never go away. And if you've been around me for any length of time, you've heard me say this over and over and over and over and over again. The top 3 problems in a market will never, ever go away. Why in the world are diet books still being published? The problem ain't going away. How come the current 10 kajillion thousand million books on diets aren't good enough for everybody to be skinny? Because the problem never goes away. Whatever your market is, the top 3 to 10 problems, they're not going away. And your survey needs to be based in those problems. So number 1 on my survey was Bible lessons. Guess what? Sunday morning ain't leaving. And for a lot of churches, Sunday night's not leaving. And a lot of churches, Wednesday night is not leaving. It's not going anywhere. The average church meets twice a week at minimum in some form. It's not going away. So because of that, it creates a problem. They've got to have lessons every single meeting. It's not leaving. It's not going away. It doesn't matter what the market is. There's going to be an element of, hey, we've got to keep solving this. We've got to keep doing this. There's always a recurring nature to it. And sometimes people, solve the problem, and that's great. That's what we're there for. But there's also people who keep coming into the market. But let me go to like internet marketing, for example. We get almost all of our traffic for Teen Life Ministries through Google AdWords. All right, so that's our main traffic source. But will I continue to buy traffic training? Yeah, because there might be something else I'm interested in learning, something else that might work. Because even though I've got traffic, I want more traffic. So traffic, list building, product creation is top 3 problems in internet marketing. It's never leaving. They're not going away. You do a list building class, people always show up, even people with big lists. It's a problem. People aren't going to leave it. How do I get traffic to my website? It's a problem. It's not going away. I've never had anybody go, Paul, got too much traffic. Too much. List is too big. Don't want anybody else. Nope, never heard it. So the top 3 to 10 problems are never going away. So after they fill out the survey, and your survey should be based in those top 3 to 10 problems. And you might be saying, well, how in the world do I figure those out? If you're in your market, you know what they are because you're part of it. You've had that issue. There are thousands of books on how to get over the fear of public speaking, but people are still scared. Why? Problem's not going away. So that's an exercise you've got to do. At minimum, write down the top 3 problems in your industry. If you don't know where they are, go to the bookstore. You don't have to spend a bunch of time on forums. You don't have to figure out keyword relevancy. Go to the bookstore, go to Amazon, find out what the bestsellers are in your market, and say, what problem is that solving? And there you go. So they fill out their survey, they click submit, and it sends them to teenlifeministries.com/youthministry/results. That's where it sends them after they take the survey. It goes to a preliminary report and an offer for the number 1 response. The number 1 response was predictable. Bible lessons, class handouts, small group discussion guide. 57.97% said that. And that was a little bit low. It raises a little bit after the actual results really come in. But I wanted to give them something early. This was based on like maybe 200 responses. So, blessings, Paul. Check out the Magnificent 7 right now. Just click the image below. 7 ready-to-go lessons with complete outlines, handouts, PowerPoint presentation, all for $17. What is that? It's their number 1 answer. They just said, this is what I want. At least 57% did. And the truth is, most of them still want more of that. Didn't even vote on that. They just saw another option they like more. But they all have to have them. So I make an offer, what I call a soft offer, right under that first video that matches the #1 response. Does that seem like a hard sell? Have I got any big, bold headline that threatens them, that lets them know if they don't do this right now, chances are they will never be successful in life again? No, I don't do that. I just place it under there and I let their head do the connection. Occasionally, I'll lower this to $7 and it does sell even more. And I think I need to switch it back because I make more money at 17, but I get more people at 7. And I think that that's important for a reason. You know, I'm letting them know that your feedback's important by offering them something that they said is important to them. So that's basically what I'm saying with the offer. Your feedback is important, and I'm showing them the results. This is what I think is critical. They spend a small amount of money and have a positive experience. So whether it's 17 or whether it's 7, they spend a small amount of money, they have a very positive experience with that. I didn't ask for a family member. I didn't tell them to go get a saw and cut their arm off and take out an extra loan and sell their house. I wanted them to spend a very small amount of money and have a very positive experience so that they would trust my product and they would trust me as a person. I bought that $7 thing from Paul and Al. It was good. Paul and Al have something else. I need to get it too. So spend a very small amount of money and have a very positive experience. Now, I am going to throw in what I believe is a faith-based principle. And those of you, may be familiar with this. But if you're faithful with little, you'll be trusted with much is a biblical principle. But I think that's just a principle in life. I think that that's the way we do. If we give somebody a small task and they do good on it, what do? We give them something else to become better at and try something at a greater level. But let's say that you've got a best friend who's trying to be a mechanic, and you tell him, I've got my tire over here that is really low. I think the tire needs to be changed. Can you get that changed? Get it replaced? And they go out there and they change it, but they put the tire on backwards, and you're riding down the road and a thing comes off and you crash. And next week, your friend says, you know what? I just saw a tutorial on YouTube about cleaning out the carburetor. I'd love to clean your carburetor out. You'd be like, have you lost your mind? You don't know how to change a tire. I'm not about to let you near my carburetor, right? So if we can help people right out of the gate with something very inexpensive, they get a taste of it, they have a positive experience, and they'll trust us with more and more of their resources and their money. Now then, just as a caveat and sidebar, some people are going to say, well, Paul, I sell $10,000 coaching spots, and I send people straight to a page where they get to have a free call-in session. Hey, I'm not saying that doesn't work at all. I think that can work in some markets. I don't think that's the average market. I think that the average information marketer does better with a small out-of-the-gate purchase that builds trust, also gets some money in your pocket, and moves people to that next level. Now, I'm not a 100% pure funnel guy. I believe that we can have all sorts of offers all over the place, but in general, if we can be trusted with a small amount of money, then people feel like they can trust us with a larger amount of money. There are exceptions to every rule. I've had people come on board and the first thing they bought from me was $1,000. But I've had way more people spend $7, $10, $20 out of the gate because it's not as much of a risk, right? And so that tends to work out pretty well. All right, so let me bring the chat back over. Any questions about message number 2? Any questions or comments about message number 2? Message 2, do your survey questions always offer examples of problems and they tick one as opposed to what's your biggest challenge question, what type of product? would you offer for such a low fee that is meaningful and they trust? Okay, so what's your biggest challenge question? I don't use too much because it comes all over the board. I mean, people are bringing their personal thing, and then you've got to look for the pattern. But people will say all kinds of crazy things. Like, I was super specific one time about, you know, the question needs to be specific, and if you got a challenge X, Y, and Z, and somebody wrote in and said, hey, I need to make $100,000 in the next 3 months. What you got? All right, what I can't. That's crazy talk. So what I try to do is that I try to make sure that they're at least going to be able to choose one of my selections, and then let's see, what is a low fee that is meaningful and they trust? I love doing audios, Patty, and I love doing videos. So for $7, if I had like a 15 to 20 minute really solid video on something, I think that would be great value. Stone says, is the page you send them to actually tied to their answer, or is it what people generally have as their main problem? The page that I send them to is actually tied to not their personal answer, but the overall votes. So most likely they're going to be in those top 3. I'm going to hit probably 85% of the crowd is going to be hit with that top 3. Cool, Lou. How will you know the survey results if you are starting, or you just go with popular problems in your niche? Yeah, just go with popular problems in your niche and know that most likely you're going to hit it right. And if you're just starting out and the first person on your list is the first person ever to take your survey and you don't have the results yet, that's fine. You can send them to a page that says, be looking for the results very soon. But typically in my market, this is #1. And so you can use the research of other people. What if the person does not answer the one question? Where do they fit in the AR series? They just keep going through it, Karen. So they don't answer the survey, but they get message 3 that says results, and here you go. And even if they hadn't taken the survey, a lot of people want to know the results. So they keep going. Patty says, thanks, Paul. Brilliant. All right. Awesome. One question from the previous message. Just looked, couldn't find the confirmation folder on Aweber to switch to single opt-in. Am I missing something obvious? It's in there, Val. What you'll need to do is email me at nicheology5@gmail.com, nicheology5@gmail.com, and I'll email you back with that answer. Just curious, how many charts are you sending per lesson? How many charts are you sending per lesson? What's that mean, Cheryl? What kind of charts? I may have just been my southern twang. Jen says, I am, let's see, I'm glad this is coming from someone of your caliber. I do believe in what you say. If you're faithful, Lou, you'll be trusted for much. I think once a person's bought $7, they'll be willing to buy 97, which could lead to $5.97. Yeah, in general, that's what works out really, really well. Cool. Your Magnificent 7 lessons, how many charts per lesson? There's PowerPoint, there's a class handout, there's a small group discussion guide, and there's the outline of the lesson itself. So there's those components. All right. Lou, I think Deborah's getting on to you or something. What's happening? Hey, Pat, could be download speed. I have heard that if you start with selling low price items, you price yourself out of big ticket items. How long do you wait before you upsell the $97 product? You know, it really depends. I mean, it depends on the market. I can't really answer that. It depends on what the market can bear. I know that in the youth ministry market, 97 and we've got a $300 product, that's just about the limit for them, right? So, but I don't wait long. They get the 97 option right out of the gate if they go to the sales page for Teen Life. Oh, cool, Deborah. Awesome. All right, good. Let's move on. Pulling it back over. So message 3 is results plus here you go. Drum roll, please. Survey says, thank you again for taking the youth ministry survey. Now, even if they didn't get it, they didn't take it, that's fine. I don't mind that. I've never had anybody write me and go, hey, listen, dork, hey, I didn't even take that survey. You know, they don't know. They results. The results are so helpful. It actually says the, but I have they because I typed this in directly. Check them out for yourself and see where your votes landed. We were surprised by number 3. Well, what's number 3? I don't know. You better click the link. I don't tell you what number 3 is. So that helps get some response back to the page. We were surprised by number 3. Well, I better go find out. I want to see what the results are. So they click that, and it sends them to the results. Bible lessons is now up to 65%. Games and icebreakers are at 42%. Number 3 was discussion guides for small group was 40%, which I thought was surprising because the small group discussion guide is actually part of number 1. But if they'll buy it separately, we're not against it. Personal growth, 32%. How to double your youth ministry, 26%. Devotionals for use in live settings, 26%. How to use social media, 24%. Now, you know, when it says 24% or 25%, a quarter of the people say they're interested in that, I don't necessarily jump on that because I don't know that they're really going to buy anything based on that. So I would pull that out later and say on a recent survey, 25% of people said they would like to use social media in their youth ministry. Then I would ask them specific questions in a new survey and find out exactly what level they wanted to go to. So there are their results. The great thing about those results is that you can get the top 4 immediately. Just join the zone. Get over 400 Bible lessons, hundreds of discussion guides, dozens of personal spiritual growth resources. $8,384 worth of resources for just $1. Click here to get all the details right now and instantly access over 400 Bible lessons. Now think about it. They may not have bought that $7 deal, but even if they did, they're going, well, I spent $7 and now it's just $1. But it's $1 for 7 days. And then it's $9.95 a month or $97 for the year or $297 for lifetime. So that's the way that that's set up when they click that link. So it's super simple, right? That's not a long sales page. That is not a copywriting genius at work. Or is it? Because they said they wanted Bible lessons. They voted on it. I said, I'm one of the group. Games and icebreakers. They voted on it. Small group discussion guide. They voted on it. Personal spiritual growth tools. They voted on it. They raised their hand. Said, that's what I want. Hey, you can get all 4 immediately. Boom. That's message 3. I'm going to pull over the chat for that, but you can see that was pretty tight. And message 4 is going to be super tight. But any questions about message 3? It's just a direct response to the survey. These are the more detailed results. Remember, message 2 was with preliminary results. Message 3 is detailed results. All right. Nobody typed. Awesome. Message 4 is called 1,000 Youth Ministry Articles. 1,000 Youth Ministry Articles. The Zone, this is a little more sales-based, from Teen Life Ministries now has over 1,000 articles to help you with youth ministry. Yes, we know that's more than anyone is expected to get through, but there's a lot of variety, so you can be choosy. You have permission to use these in your ministry. If you see an article for parents that would help your families, then just copy and send it by email, or print it and put it in the mail. Email the daily Bible readings to your group each month. Print out the monthly Dawn Till Dusk and take yourself on a one-day retreat. Or rework it a bit and hand it out to your teens. Send the Listen to Lisa articles to the young ladies in your group. How cool for them to get an email that's designed just for them. The articles aren't just for reading. They are for using within your ministry. Zone members, here's a direct link to the article section. And then under that, I had a PS that showed them how to sign up for the Zone. But most people don't click that. They click that link right there. And guess what? It tells them they don't have access, that they need to join. Click here. So I'm telling them this is what it's going to do for their ministry. It's still related to the survey, right? Because they wanted resources. They wanted personal growth. So I've got it in there. I also know from being in youth ministry for a long time that they do want some things designed for young ladies that are specific to them. And even though that went on a survey, I still know I'm striking a chord. Now, you may be thinking, Paul, I have 1,000 articles. It's insane. I bet you got an article that has brought more response than anything else, or a Facebook post that's brought more response than anything else. And you could say something in the subject line, my #1 article of all time. And hopefully that article is highly related to a product. So they would read it and then they would buy it. You know, so that's kind of the goal of this. But again, this is a very short email, right? But it does have a strong trigger because I know these folks don't have a lot of time. They work. They're busy. But I also know they're sensitive to not putting the time into their ministry. And if I do the work for them and say that, they'll reject that because it's their job and role to do the work. But if I say you can just copy and paste it, that's pretty easy. I've done the work for them without actually saying that, and they can see that it's saving them a bunch of time and a bunch of energy and a bunch of effort. And in a later email, I'm a little bit more bold with that, a little bit more vocal with that. But out of the gate, I'm trying to be very careful with this particular market, not to use a scare tactic and not to use anything along those lines. Now, with my public speaking market, I can use scare tactics a little bit more because people are afraid. They're afraid of not doing good. They're afraid of freezing. They're afraid of forgetting what they're saying. And I can take the pressure off of all of that for them. And so I can be a little bit more vocal, a little bit more forceful, and use their inherent stress as leverage in a very positive way. Message 5 through 10, survey-based emails leading to membership in the zone. I'm just taking different components. Let me go back to the survey. So different components. One may be about a discussion guide. Sometimes I'll talk about teaching. I've got one that's teaching tips. But of course, what they've got to be able to have the lessons in order to teach. So I add those in as well. So that's messages 5 through 10, survey-based emails leading to membership in the zone, all very brief, all very specific to a component that links the survey to the membership. And then 11 and following are individual lesson offers and other resources that are not necessarily recurring, because they've rejected my recurring offer for 10 messages. So now I'm going to sell them individual components, individual lesson series, individual small group packages, individual packages of games, individual emails. We've got one product out there, I think it's called Email Youth Devotionals, and they buy those and they just copy and paste them and send it out to their group. And so it's that simple. All right, that is all of the content. We did it right at an hour. I felt like that was pretty uncomplicated. Questions, things that you would like clarified, testimonials for this class that I can use elsewhere. And so even those later messages, even though I didn't cover 5 through 10 in detail and 11 and following in detail, you don't have to write anything that is mega complicated. Okay, good, JT. The timing between messages, that is good. I tend to send the first 2 messages back to back as far as days. The results are 2 days later, and then I have everything at 2 days later after that. Deborah says, I'm struggling with how you came up with the step for 1,000 articles. Okay, let me go back. So the 1,000 articles are already in Teen Life, right? So what am I mentioning here? If you see an article for parents, just copy and send it. If you want to email the daily Bible readings, even though that's not connected specifically to the survey, it is with resources in the survey. Dawn Till Dusk is personal one-day retreat. All right? So let's go back through. We go back over here. So they said they wanted spiritual growth. Even though this is dead last, articles for parents to email directly to them. Quiet time studies to email directly to teens. This is still linking into my 1,000 articles. But I used 1,000 as a sense of overwhelm. All right. So let's see. That was schedule. Hey, Linda, I think I hit schedule. You know, basically, I'm on a 2-day rotation after the first two. The first one they get immediately, the second one they get the next day. Excellent advice. You're welcome, Val. Message 3, what happens if they click on something and it doesn't come up in your top 4 results? Does it have a negative impact? No, I don't think it does at all. I don't think it has a negative impact because most people aren't really concentrating on their answers that much. They're just seeing what everybody else is doing. John says, once somebody opts in and we give the paid offer, let's say they reject and remain on the freebie opt-in, how long do you recommend keeping them on your list before cycling them out? For example, I usually try to convert someone to paid customer within 45 days and then cycle off my list. Is that too harsh? It just depends on your market, John. You know, if your market has proven that after 45 days they're just not going to buy, cycle them off. In youth ministry, sometimes it's been 4 years before they bought. 4 years. Wild. Pat, will this work in a more competitive niche? Yeah, absolutely. You might dial it down a little bit. So, Pat, I'm going to say weight loss. That's super competitive, right? And I could do a survey on how much weight do you want to lose? 5 to 10 pounds, 10 to 20 pounds, 30 to 50 pounds, over 50 pounds. And that could be my only question. And then I only promote one product related to that one specific answer. And then in my follow-up, I could also hit the people who were not in that particular category. Lynette, do you continue to send a regular autoresponder message after these, or do you follow up more the weekly e-zine? I do the weekly e-zine after that, Lynette. I think I've got about 20 messages in, and that's about all I do. I think that answers as well. Karen, would you have another series that would follow, or you would tie it to an email newsletter or something similar? Now, something I'm doing now, Karen, it's not integrated yet in Teen Life, is that I am using, I can't remember, it's in the members area, but basically people can click a link, and when they click it, it lets me know that they're interested in something else, and it automatically only works with AWeber AW Pro Tools. And so when they click that link, it will add them to a new list, and the video that is in the members area shows you that. Let's see. Paul, thanks so much for your training. It was clear and concise. Thanks. Cheryl, thank you, thank you, thank you. Are all the articles ones you've written, or they come from all over? They come from all over, Snowden. We've got, we used to have several writers. We've just got one writer right now. And then we do take some articles from other sites with permission. Pat says, forgot to say really great stuff. However, is just wondering if this works in a more competitive niche. I think we just hit that. Jen says, Paul, why then are we being told by coaches that we need to use scare tactics, or sometimes it comes across as though we're supposed to be unethical if your emails will not be opened? I don't understand really that last part, but we're told by coaches. I mean, it just depends, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but you know, fear is strong. And I use it in some markets because people do need to be afraid. So that's really my question, Jen. Does this market really need to be afraid? You know, I feel like public speakers, they shouldn't be afraid if they've got great content. But if they don't have great content, I think they need to be afraid, not of messing up and not doing a good job. I think they need to be afraid of wasting people's time. All right, so I don't mind using that, but I still think that's ethical. So we can use fear ethically. Instead of using newsletter, could you use tips of the week? Absolutely. So 20 messages or autoresponder messages that post that are, they are only broadcast messages. Do you start another autoresponder sequence at a later date? I usually don't. I just let them be live from then on out. Patty says, great training. I love the whole conversational approach. Good. Love it. It does build rapport. Lovely. Thanks so much, Paul. Well, Hannah, that may be my first lovely ever. Snowden, they must join the zone to get the 1,000 articles. Great question. Sorry about the article. Would it be that I'm writing it and it would be found in my blog, or am I bringing it to somebody else's article? I don't think it really matters, Deborah, as long as it's on your site and you are controlling the path of participation. If you're controlling the path of participation. So I don't want to send them to somebody else's site. I'm going to send them to my site, and I want the escape valve to be an order page. And actually, if it's on your blog, I might copy and paste it to just a regular HTML page so they can't go anywhere else other than the order link. And the top would say, this is my most popular article. Now, if you want comments and shares, then that's fine. Send them to the blog, let them comment and share on it. Oh, you're welcome, Jen. Yeah, if they join the membership site, I will still keep them on that list. I don't mind them continuing to see that I'm selling or that they're getting offers or anything like that. That doesn't bother me a lick. I want them to feel like, wow, I'm getting something positive. I'm getting something cool. I'm already part of that. Yeah, clear and actionable. Let's see. Stone says, great info, Paul. As usual, you always have very clear, precise information and present them with humor. You know, humor's hard on a webinar. I like live events where I can see the audience, see their eyeballs. What do you think about changing the articles 3 to 5 video series if you don't have a membership site? Cheryl, I think that's great. I would keep the videos super tight, 5 minutes or less. Membership in the Zone, Lou, is $9.95 a month, or $97 for the year, or $297 for lifetime. Pat, if the market has a fear of loss and has money but limited budget like small business owners, would this type of message series work for them as well? Yeah, but your survey may be a little bit more fear-based. Like what are, if they're fear of loss, they've got a limited budget, but you are actually selling something that's going to make them money, then you can put that in the survey as well. But I would just say in this, small business owners with limited budgets, what are their top 3 problems? All right. I'm just off the top of my head as a small business owner, getting people into my shop, my retail establishment for free. That's super important. Getting my customers to tell other people so they'll come in for free. Selling more to the people who come in. That could work. Deborah, so what do you pick? So what you do, I can't read. Alabama's the issue. The top survey answers and cycle is done. Then you start the process all over again from the beginning with problem number 2. Not really, because I integrate all the problems together, Deborah. And I kind of quit beating it to death at that point and allowed them just to be part of the engagement of the broadcast. They're all 1,000 articles are within the membership site itself, Snowden. I don't have a separate site for them. It's part of membership in the Zone. So in the Zone, they get Bible lessons, they get these articles, they get devotionals, they get small group discussion guides, they get games, everything that's listed on there except for like how to double your ministry and social media. Everything else is in there. So it's a massive site. Yeah, it's got over 1,000 pages in the site. Yeah, I'd say it's about 1,500. It's a large site. There's no doubt about it. And we've been doing it for years. I would not encourage anybody to start the way we did. If I started over today, I would do it differently. But that's for a membership webinar. We can maybe do that another time. What if you don't have a membership site that addresses the problems but specific products? When would you promote the different products? I do that right out of the gate, Gina. I do it right out of the gate. In fact, in October, I'm going to be doing a training series that will not be $20, but it's going to be called Your Signature Product. And it's going to be that one thing that you tell everybody they got to get. And it'll help you create a product that's either $97 up to $1,000. And so when people are saying, hey, you got several products, which one should I buy? Every single time you'll say this one. This is it, and that would be the product that you promote. So Gina, with you, you got multiple products. I would start with the one that you get the most sales for so that you can say best sellers, solves the #1 problem in the survey. If they don't join the zone, what do you do to keep in contact with them after the end of the series? Do you segment the list into buyers and non-buyers? I don't. People keep getting stuff. Every Monday, they get what's called the Monday Maximizer. On Wednesday, they get a little scripture for the day and a sales offer because most of them are looking for their Wednesday night materials. And then on Saturday, I'll email out a little verse and offer also another sales offer. So they hear from us by broadcast 3 times a week. Non-autoresponder. It's live. Takes about 2 minutes. It's not a long article. Deborah is typing. And this replay will be available like 10 minutes after we're done. I'll put it in the members area, and I will send out an email this afternoon about it to remind you and to show you specifically to make sure you're getting in and those sorts of things. So after this series, how do you address this group of people from then on? Do you include them in all send newsletter? I do. I include them all. Include them all. Great, Lou. Thank you. Oh, yeah. And when I send the email this afternoon, I'm going to ask for feedback, like for 2 or 3 sentences about this training so that more people will do this. And if you've got a list and want to promote it, I'll include that information as well. Patty, the replay will be available forever. And I'm not pushy like about social media and stuff like that, but when I ask you for feedback today, I would like y'all to send it. All right. So let's see. I don't necessarily merge them, Deborah. I just email everybody. Jen says, want to start putting money aside for signature program October. Approximately how much? Give an estimate. On the low side, since I'm teaching 97 to 1,000, on the low side, it'll be 97. There might be that discount option. On the high side, it'll be $297 because it's going to be a 4-week program. It'll be $297, but the retail price will be $997. I know you will, Deborah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming out. And don't forget, Thursday night, I'm going to do another call just in case there are more questions that come up. So I'll send you a reminder about that on Thursday. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks, Oscar. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. Hope you have a great, great day. As always, success is not an accident. Go forth and implement. Y'all have a great day. Be blessed. Oh, wait. Patty has another question. I'm waiting on you, Patty. Type. Type quick. Patty said, okay. You're welcome, guys. Thank you so much. Yes, Case. Implement. Got you live. Can you say Greenbow, Alabama? I don't even know if that's close. You guys have a great, great day. You're welcome, Pat.